Hi, everybody. My name is Nirali. I'm an overseas academic consultant, and today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Aakash Zaveri, and he's going to speak about studying in Australia and opportunities that are available in Australia to settle in that country. Welcome, Aakash, and thank you so much for doing this with us. If you can introduce yourself a little, tell us about your story, your educational and professional journey.
Thank you for having me here, Nirali. So just a bit of myself, being born and brought up in Mumbai, took over education in boarding school. So that's where my journey started in learning and development and maybe self-fulfilling my own dreams and destinies. So that's been the cornerstone throughout my life. And I would just say that I did my schooling in Ooty, and then taken a bit of experience in terms of skills and communication skills, interpersonal skills, etc. Then I did my engineering in computer science engineering from NIT Trichy, again in South India, where I gained a lot of technical skills in coding and development and the IT side of skills. Uh, Logically, I took the step in an IT company as a software engineer um, in one of the big companies in IT called Wipro, and learned a lot through different roles and responsibilities across the IT product development, project development, life space, and that's where I got introduced to international clients and got exposure on how things really work in international markets, which is really different to what
Yeah.
the way of working in India is. And that's what attracted me, is the way of quality of education, quality of professional life. So I always started to think that which are the countries that I could move to and kind of settle there. And obviously Australia, with a very friendly immigration policies, was a preferred destination. Also, that has good climate over here. So so both of these played into my thoughts and got me over here where I am. So I chose to do an MBA to just expand on to expand on my skill set. So from the technical side of skills to understanding the management side, and to get the full career set up for my full career, like get my understanding and knowledge set up for my full career. So that way I started researching on the Australian universities, which has an MBA program. Did a bit of an interviewing with past and current students, and Sydney was a preferred destination because it's a big city, and it plays a lot. It plays a big role, right? So the way you live and you currently stay in a city and you grow in that culture, that plays a big role. So I'm from Mumbai and a big city. I wanted something like similar to that. So Sydney or Melbourne, the preferred options in Australia. And Sydney has good colleges. Two of them majorly were AGSM and MGSM. At that point of time, the admission policies for AGSM was only one intake throughout the year. And I was more towards the flexible side, which MGSM had to offer. So I chose whichever next cohort was available. I got an open admission also. So the admission process was pretty straightforward. Like if you are applying to some US or UK colleges, you're already set for applying to US, so Australian colleges. It's all the same requirements. So I just did the normal GMATs. Got not a good score, 680, but that's fine. Maybe pressure or something like that.
Yeah.
But took that score. I mean, more overall development was what required, and that's the picture across every admission, right? So you can shine in your SOPs and your testimonials, so from your managers, etc., experience letters, which you obviously can you're doing a good job already in your professional life, so that will come through. And every story is unique, so you can just pull out the best uniqueness, and they will judge whatever it is, right? So you just have to present yourself the best possible way, and things will just work out. Hopefully the things will just work out. And then that's what happened. So I got admission into MGSM. Came here pretty straightforward. Um, student visa process. So Australia is always welcoming international students.
So,
Yeah,
it's a
okay.
great thing that, you spoke about your GMAT score and your SOP, which you said was very important in building your narrative, as well as,
Hmm.
your letters of recommendation. I'm assuming your GPA didn't matter as much because you already had enough of work experience before that, correct?
No, yeah, I mean, but it has a whole package as a whole.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, I think I had a good academic GPA,
So that
which
helped.
kind of substantiated the low GMAT score.
Got it.
So
Got it.
that was good.
Also, does Australia
Uh,
have this need of 16th years like the way some, most universities in the US have, or it doesn't have something like that?
Australia is more laid back in terms of, and there are not many great universities. I mean, it's not as great as UK, US, right?
Right.
So it's very relaxed at the same time. It has its own qualities, and it does a lot of emphasis on experience
Okay. So
more
work
than the
experience
academic.
is, especially for an MBA, work experience is far more important.
And that's even in Australia, even for the job, right? So they kind of get that straightforward upfront, so that they admissal only those people who have good experiences to then get the cohort through to the jobs after the MBA. So
Got it. How about for masters? Is work experience that important for masters as well? Would you be aware of something?
so so the masters, you mean in the sense of
Not an MBA, but like just like say a
not
one-year
business
master's
studies,
degree.
but
Yeah.
other.
Like masters in marketing or masters in say operations or something like that. In
Yeah,
that
so
case,
still,
is work
yeah, still
experience that
exactly.
important?
So no, you're right. So they tend to be less on the work experience. But at the end of the day, if your goal is to, secure a job,
Right.
the employers over here really look for the distinct projects you have worked on and what skills you had in for that can be used in the job that they're looking for. So so I would say even if you are less on experience in going into a master's, you can then use some of the during the program, if there are some internships or on the job part-time opportunities that you can catch up, that would be great, because then you have something to show at the end of the program to the recruiters.
Got it. So what is usually a good amount of work experience for an MBA? Like 3 to 4 years or a little more, would you say?
I would say more than 4 years,
Okay,
four
so
to 5 years.
4 to 5 years
And
is
it's
generally good. Okay.
Yeah, and even more is also fine, right? So I was recruited into a cohort which even had like people in their 40s
Oh
and even
wow. Okay.
50s
Okay.
to doing their MBA, right? So it's a different experiences. So they are already like in the mid management, whereas you were already just out of some projects and in lower manage, like not even management, right? You're
Got it. So it's
probably
a
at the
great
end
way
of
to
four
like
years, you're
work with people from different areas as well.
yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah, and when you have those experiences, you can command and command the respect, as well as you can bring something valuable to the discussions in the program, as well as in the projects or in the group discussions wherever you are having. So I would say, and there is a very different concept, right? So in India, we are all like in a mindset that a graduation, then post graduation, and then work.
Hmm.
But it's more about your work and your experiences, and the time when you take a post graduation doesn't really matter, right? It can be after 10-15 years. I mean, whenever you feel that the urge to excel in your next stage of career is as a education is stopping you, that's when you go and take the masters. I think that was a difference in opinion I had going into the program and then coming out of the program. So
Got it.
I would say if I was given an opportunity or doing all over again, I would focus more on my experiences. And an MBA would be like, at the perfect time that maybe I'm just as a senior manager and I'm looking for that vice president position.
Yeah.
That's the time when I would do that MBA and get that. And that time it could be even company sponsored, so
Right.
that
Right.
takes off so much of your load and so much of the risk
Right.
in taking that MBA. Plus, you can do a lot of things. Like if the company is sponsoring you, you're guaranteed a job, and second, during the MBA, you can take up some good projects that will help both the company and your personal development. So
That's some very good advice. Yes.
I would say that second option. I mean, just just focus on your career now and whatever you are right now doing, and everything should be just falling into place when you require a higher education.
Got
That's
it.
the time. I think that's really critical. If you take out anything which is apart from the normal advice, I think this would be a good advice.
Thank you. Moving on to the next. So that was some really incredible advice, and I'm sure there are a lot of people watching this can really relate to it. Moving on to the next question. So, were you satisfied with your choice of university? What was the overall campus diversity like, and what was, what were the resources available, the faculty? Tell us
Mm.
a little bit about some of those things.
So I think yeah, definitely. So Macquarie University is located just a little bit outside the city with a lush green of acres of good space, and you had everything a modern international university has to offer. So right from good facilities, your library, your research centers, the documentation, the research. I mean, whatever is you require was already there. It was just about understanding what they had and where you can get that things from. And you obviously had the best of spaces, the classrooms, the facility, and the infrastructure was really good. And also the faculty, right? So I think that's a very crucial point whenever you're taking into any MBA. The teachers and also the students that come into it are the most important, not only from your network point of view, but also from their experiences, and the education that they impart on you really holds on to your memory and your learnings, other than the books and textbook knowledge. So that's very important. So I had all those very good experiences from Macquarie University. Overall, the diversity was awesome. So we had like people from US, from Japan, so from China. China is a really big economy, and coming out from India into a global place, you have to know that China is really as big as as India can get, in terms of the global story, in terms of population, in terms of just anything out there, right? It's that's who we have to compete with in this Asia market. So China was, I mean, very good diversity there, and obviously we have a lot of Africa. I mean, because South Africa and Australia share really good, I think, some exchange programs with some universities over there, and then South Americans as well. So I really like the diversity, and got to make really good friends who are now spread out across the world, and we still, especially in these times of COVID, we still get back and share some experiences and some fruitful conversations. Not very professional though, but just more on the family side of things.
That is so
So
nice.
yeah, and yeah, so everything was very good with Macquarie University. It's still, I think there's a lot of changes because of COVID, and a lot of online classrooms now. But yeah, I mean, I have not heard any bad thing during my time. I don't know what the recent changes and what are the problems that the current students are facing, but yeah, I mean, don't know that. But during my time was very nice.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. The next question, do you have any specific advice to students who are applying to MGSM or universities in Australia per se? Or do you feel like you've already done
Mhm.
it?
Yeah, I've already answered that, but I think more on this advice, and you can take, I think, the next question together, which is about the PR, right? So
Sure.
if you're looking at if you're looking at Australia, I would choose that as a destination, only because there are many factors, right? So the way of life over here is really good, and when I say that, it has a very good balance between the modern and I mean, the work life and the personal life, which is something which you cannot get in India or in US or UK, right? So in India, you're always stuck in traffic. So
Mhm.
you're spending like 2 hours, 3 hours in traffic, not doing anything. In US, you're always chasing the next meeting, and you're always logging back in after dinner and checking on the next
Emails,
day preparations
work
or
emails.
current day.
Yes.
And that's something that's not in Australia, right? So Australia, 5 o'clock, we all shut our systems down, and we all say, let's go and grab a beer or go to
Mm.
the beach, right? Or you have some family commitments. So everyone respects that, and that's I think really essential in the Australian bred life. So if you're looking to apply to Australian universities, look at the whole picture and think about life afterwards and the what Australia has to offer. So in doing so, you have to think about the PR process. So there are the PR is the end game. So you can come on a temporary visa, either student visa or on a temporary work visa. And if you have to stay for a longer than 2 years or 4 years, you have to get a PR. And sooner or later you have to get a PR. So if you think about settling down in Australia, so that's something that's really crucial to think about. The PR process, you can look up on the internet. It's very elaborative, and it's a very case by case basis also, and it has all the steps required. It's very it's a very long process. At the same time, it's explain exactly how you feel, and you can obviously reach out to any immigration lawyer, and they can help you out with your specific profile. But PR is essential if you're thinking about Australia, and it just sorts out a lot of things, right? So a lot of uncertainty around what happens and that gets all cleared out. So what happens if your visa expires? What happens if something like COVID happens? What happens if I injure my foot and there is a big medical bill that happens? What happens if all that things gets just answered, right? All that what if just goes away. So PR is a really essential cog in the wheel of Australian life, and that process, it's easy. It's good to get it started earlier on. Even if you are thinking about studying in Australia, you can think about getting a PR in Australia before, and that way you can just come here, experience the life, maybe like 3-4 months, and then even you can get to know more about the research, I mean the opportunities you have over here before you can even invest anything in studies, right? And investing in studies is a big investment. So that's something that you can think of. Get a PR, come here, experience the life, interact with the university, interact with the students, easier way, and then think about the studies and what you want to do.
Got it. And I think that's some really great advice for a lot of people to sort of think about your game even after the MBA and not just
Mm.
like until then.
You,
Uh,
you you can count the number of times I said PR in that and gauge the importance of it.
Got it. So, in terms of just comparing the two education systems, the Indian education system and the Australian education system, what were your observations, and what did you think were the gaps in both the systems, and what do you have to say about that?
Look, I can really take this in a good and a bad way, right? So I've studied in India for my engineering, and I've studied in Australia for my management. And although those things are two different things because it's masters and post graduations, so I mean, sorry, it's undergraduation and masters. So, but still, so the way of learning is very simple, right? We have the textbooks, and the way it is tested is the textbook knowledge, right? So in India, it's simple. You learn the textbook from cover to cover, and you just go there and you can excel in all aspects. That's something that fails over here. You you kind of have to get the textbook knowledge and then apply and take 2-3 steps before you can you can score really well in this type of education. I think the straightforward answer is the way you test it is the way the systems work. So if students are tested on only, teacher will tell you just, this is the definition, write that and I'll give you full marks. It's fine. You do that. But the way over here, it says that, okay, if you know the definition, but how does that apply in this scenario? And you have to think two things before you can get that answer out. So that's where that leap of faith is, and that understanding, broadening of understanding happens. So that's what the gap is in the systems. We are very used to, and that's not bad, right? So education in theory is a really important concept before you can take that and apply it in the real world. So you can't just build castles in a sea, right? You need land first. So that concept is good when you have the base, when you have rock solid foundations, and then you can reach for the sky. So I think both are really good, but it's the way you like to be taught and
Got,
learned.
got it. I think that's a very interesting point because a lot of people have said that even for like American and UK as well as Canadian systems. So I think you spoke a little bit about PR, but if I had to ask you in terms of job opportunities that were available on campus and even off campus, right? If people had to directly approach, like, what do you think is the economy like? Are people, like how easy or difficult it is for an immigrant with, or I mean, obviously not without a PR, but like to get a job? And how much does the on-campus faculty help you, and how much is it on you?
Right. So this is 100% on you, right? Let's just get that out of the way. So this is 100% your push to get your job
Hmm.
secured at the end of the
Hmm.
MBA. And in doing so, the program, as well as some network connection that you build in it, all of them provide you inputs and opportunities. So I took up internship, which was offered by the program as part of a curriculum, and that was something that gave me that jump to showcase to my next employer that I have got this under my resume. And that was a really important opportunity for me. I grabbed it with both hands. I got an opportunity to work with Amazon Web Services, and that was something really unique. And I think that was a standout of my MBA program because look at it from the Australian economy point of view, right? At that time, 2016-17, Amazon was in the news of entering Australia, and that propelled me to a lot of possible opportunities because I had that experience under my belt, right? So I worked with one of the most important companies who are planning to come to Australia, and the other employers are just looking up to it. They think that Amazon is going to come in and disrupt everything, and if they could have someone who has an experience working in that company, that would be the best thing, right? So I think I took that and excelled in grabbing that opportunity because I found that was a key to turn things around for me. So I took that, which was offered again on job on the that opportunity really did well in terms of gaining the experiences and the Amazon way of working, and then really just propagated the hell out of it, right? So you during the campus recruitment, we do have a lot of companies in and around Sydney, and especially looking at Macquarie, right? Macquarie University is located in one of the bigger CBDs. So you have the Sydney CBD, which is the main CBD, which has all the think about all the big banks and the consultancy jobs. But then you come out a little bit outside the CBD, and you have 3 or 4 different pockets of another CBDs where a group of companies get together, and that's one of the park is Macquarie Park, which is just adjoining the Macquarie University, just next time, and that has like 200 to 250 big and small companies. You have the telcos, the health, medical, and industrial companies. So they are a big segment outside the main financial and consulting jobs, right? And even Australia, I think a lot of it's a big industrial and mining country.
Hmm.
So you have many companies that support these industries as well. So you would have the mining in the rural, in the regional Australia, but you would have a uniform manufacturer and designer who's located in the city to get the designers and everyone to
Hmm.
manufacture it and then supply it to those companies who are doing the mining, right? So these are the support services, and they are really big, right, in Australia. So mining is like the biggest output out of Australia as a biggest export. So all these industrial and goods and equipment manufacturing companies, they are also a big enough to support those mining companies, right? So those are the companies that did come to our Macquarie University, and people just got hang of what the requirements are. There were jobs like in supply chain, in account management, sales, data analysts, um, customer service representatives. So these are from that grade up, right? You can aim for the bank, investment banking and everything. You can still get that because Macquarie has also a city campus, which is something really unique also. So you can get that hang of classes and culture over there, but it is just 30 minutes apart, right? So we are 30 minutes outside the CBD, the main CBD, and you have one building over there which has some classes, and some people just prefer to get education in that city campus, but a lot of them come out to this regional, not regional, a suburb setup. So yeah, so we have companies that are coming in, but it's up to you to you really take those opportunities, take those small internships or part-time jobs or something that is in Australia in during your MBA, and you can do those cultural club activities as well, but something that is vouched by a company has more weightage in front of the recruiters.
Got it. That's a very interesting comment as well.
Yep.
Definitely something that people should keep in mind, depending on which they have to choose, clubs or like internships. For spouses, how does it work? So if you have a PR and then you get married, is your spouse automatically eligible for a PR and able to work, or like does she have to apply in a separate way? I mean, how similar or different is it
Right,
to Canada?
right,
If
right, right.
you're aware about
I
how
think,
Canada works.
I think, uh, yeah, I think this is an important point. The reason I chose Australia is also that my spouse could come on a student dependent visa and work full time,
Got it. Got it.
and that is really a difference between Canada at that time. I don't know if it's currently the case, but at that time, Canada, US was even difficult, and
US
UK.
is hard.
Yeah, so US, you the dependent does not do anything, can't even study, can't even work. They
Yeah,
can study, but they would have their own
right.
student visa. In UK, in Canada, I think you yourself can do to part time, and your dependent can do part time.
Right,
But
right.
but when it comes to Australia, you can do part time, but your dependent can do full time.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's a big differentiator.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I think I chose Australia also.
Moving on to the
Hmm.
next question. Uh, do you have any suggestions or advice you'd like to give freshers starting out? And overall, how did the study abroad change your life?
Uh, so yeah, definitely. And advice is um, just think about what your next phase in life wants to be, right? Uh, are you comfortable? And that's something that's really bad. So you should never be comfortable. You should always be pushing yourself, um, trying to get to the next curve. So I think of my life to be like a lot of S curves. So
Right,
if you think of an analogy, like S is like this. I mean, it's like that, but just straighten it out. So S is like this. You're right now over here, and then you need to do something to get up there, and that time flows from every time, right? So you can just be comfortable and you can just do like that. But then if you want to get up there, you need to look at that S, and that S,
right,
that curve really needs to push yourself up. It could be like as easy as doing something more in your work, and then getting that experience, and then commanding that knowledge, and then propelling your manager to think that, oh, he can take up the next role, the next promotion. So that is the next S curve. Or it could be like a different hobby which you like to maybe grow into some business sometime in the future. That's the next S curve. So you always think about your life as a lot of S curves, and you keep progressing upwards. That's a very good, like, I think, advice in general. And when you want to study abroad, I think abroad is a really interesting concept. So when you come abroad, out of India, you're really out of your comfort zone, and you don't have. I mean, if you have a partner, that's great. But if you are don't have a partner, you're really alone, right? And that's intimidating. So a lot of the days could be just as, "Oh, what should I do now? Like, just don't have anything to do. It's 6 o'clock." Um, and if you were in with your family, you could be doing something or the other. It could be difference of life. It's a different life over here. It's not that you should always aim for. Maybe it's best if we can have something that's really good in India. But it's just different people like different things. So I liked the way of work that happens in Australia, and I chose this over here. It could be that I can move to India with the same way of working. That would be the best of both worlds, and I would choose that then. Yeah, let's see what the next S curve for me is. So yeah, that's about it.
Got it. Thank you so much, Akash, for taking the time. I'm sure that everyone watching here and me also has just learned so much about your entire experience and journey about going to Australia, making sure that you're learning, growing as a person, both personally and professionally, how you're identifying clues about like what your next steps, working towards the clues for your next steps. So this was very, very informative. Thank you so much for taking the time, and we look forward to connecting with you a lot more in the future.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me over here and share my experiences. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.